In our last lecture, we have discussed about basic concepts of VLAN, and we were supposed to see like VLAN's concept which we have discussed. The VLAN one is a VLAN by default. This we have discussed, right? All the switch ports are the member of VLAN one by default. So this VLAN cannot be deleted or modified. Then what is another range we have discussed? From VLAN 2 to VLAN 1001. Is this correct? These are for the normal usage. Then VLAN 1002 to VLAN 1005. These are for special purpose, reserved for special purpose on Cisco switch. Then VLAN 10062 to VLAN 4094. One second. VLAN 10062 to VLAN 4094. These are extended VLAN. Let me write it one by one. VLAN 1, it's a default VLAN. VLAN and this default VLAN cannot be deleted, edited, modified. This VLAN are the normal VLANs, normal VLAN range. As an administrator, you can just add this VLAN, delete it, modify it, edit whatever you want to do, you can do it. Then 1002 to 1005, these are the Cisco default VLAN. It cannot be deleted. It is for special purpose, like FDDIN token rings, special purpose, and it cannot be deleted. And then we have 1006 to 14094 VLANs. These are extended range of VLANs, and this is what we are going to discuss today. Extended range. What is extended range? This everything we will discuss in detail. And we said that VLAN 0 and VLAN 4095, these are reserve VLAN for some special purpose, and this cannot be seen on the Cisco switches, or nor it can be used. This is what we have discussed in our previous lecture. Then going to the switch, we have learned that how you can convert your layer 2 port to layer 3 port and layer 3 port to layer 2 port. This we have already discussed. How we can do that? Using no switch port command. By default, the Cisco switch ports, the switch ports are layer 2 ports. And now if you want to convert this layer 2 port to layer 3, the command is no switch port. We have given this in our packet tracer software, correct? Now let's learn what will happen. We have given this command, right? In our last lecture, we have given the command no switch port, and we were able to configure the IP address. But let's understand what will happen. What will happen when we use no switch port command? What will happen when we use no switch port command? Let's understand what will happen in the background. How the switch converts the layer 2 port to layer 3 port. This is what we are going to understand. Now, remember, in the background, you know what switch does? Switch reserves a VLAN from extended range. We have discussed that we have extended range from 1006 to 4094. These are the reserved VLANs in the switch known as extended range. And what is this extended range? It is from 1006 to 4094. This is also we have discussed in our last lecture. Meaning that whenever you give the command no switch port on the Cisco switch, in the backend, what switch does? Switch creates a VLAN. When you give the command no switch port, when you give the command no switch port, what switch does? Switch creates a VLAN in the backend from this extended range. You are seeing that you can configure the IP address. Switch port has turned from layer 2 to layer 3, but actually what happens in the backend, switch uses this VLAN range. This VLAN range switch uses from 1006 to 4094, and switch creates one VLAN from this range. Now let's verify this, how it is created. Now I will just go to my VMware. I will just turn on my UNG machine. I will turn on my UNG machine. I will power on the machine. The machine boot, we will discuss some more topics and then we will come to that practical. We'll continue. So guys, remember that whenever you give the no switch port command, the switch converts the layer 2 port to layer 3, but actually in the backend, switch creates a VLAN using the extended range. Now remember, when this range is created, this range can be either created in ascending order or descending order. Meaning that switch will start to create as soon as you give the command no switch port. The first port which we will be the switch will be using, the first VLAN the switch will be creating in the backend will be 1006, then it will be 1007, then it will be 1008. But remember this can be vice versa. Instead of creating in ascending order, it can also start creating like 4094, 4093, 4092, 4091. Now, this is something based on your configuration, that how the administrator configure and how we will configure, that also we will learn. So, depending upon the configuration the administrator has done, the switch will start to create the VLAN from the extended range. Either it can be in the ascending order or it can be in the descending order. And you know what happened in the backend? In the backend, actually, switch what switch does, like let's say for example, let's say for example, what you have done is you were having a switch, and to that specific switch what you did, you started to, for that specific switch what you have done is you have started to give the configuration. For example, you went to interface FA0 by 1 and you said no switch port. Okay, as soon as you created this converted this switch port from layer 2 to layer 3, what will happen now? The it has used the first VLAN from the extended range. It will map it. It will say that FA0/1, it is mapped to VLAN 1006. You create a next switch port converted to layer 3. Next switch port you converted to layer 3, it will again map it to the new the next available VLAN extended range. Now remember, as soon as you convert the layer 2 to layer 3, the switch port is converted from layer 2 to layer 3. Remember, all your layer 2 protocols on that port will stop to work. All the layer 2 protocols on that port will stop to work, and that port will start to work as layer 3 port. Now we will see that how you can check that mapping, how you can check the mapping. Okay, so let me check if our machine is ready. Yes, our machine is ready. So we will be accessing this machine now. How to access? See, it is giving you use this IP address to access. I will open my browser, and in my browser I will put this machine IP. 192.168.0.196. Username and password. Now, this is my old lab. Let me close it. Okay. What I am going to do is I will create a new lab. Let's give the name CCNA Switch. Let's give the name CCNA Switching. And over here, I will be saving this configuration. Now, over here, I want one switch. So what I will do, I will just right click. I will click on node, and from here, I will try to find Cisco IOL. Okay, this is Cisco IOL. I have multiple options over here. I will say IP based switch, and I will say switch 1. Let's change the icon. You can change the icon also. Whatever icon you wish to give for your device, you can give it. I will say that this is my switch. How many switches I want? I want only one switch for now. So I will say 1. How many ports I want? 1. 4 interfaces it is saying. If you say 2, it will be giving you 8 ports. But for us to do the practical, 1 slot is enough for 4 interfaces. And I will save the configuration over here. Now, to power on the switch, what I will do, I will just right click and say start. Now my switch will start to boot over here. Okay, my switch has booted now. Let's check how many interfaces are there by giving the command everyone knows, show IP interface brief. So in our switch we have 4 interfaces, 0 by 0, 0 by 1, 0 by 2, 0 by 3. Let's say I want Ethernet 0 by 0 to be converted to layer 3 port. I want this switch interface to be converted to layer 3 port. So what I am going to do is configure terminal interface Ethernet 0 by 0, hit enter. And before that, let's check now what is the status. Show interface Ethernet 0 by 0 switch port. It is enabled. See, switch port is enabled, and meaning that the switch is the switch port is layer 2 port, right? So what we will do is we'll go to configure terminal, we'll go to interface Ethernet 0 by 0, and I will give the commands no switch port, right? And hit enter. So now let's check the status. Show interface Ethernet 0 by 0 switch port. Sorry, I am into this interface configuration, so we can use the command do show interface Ethernet 0 by 0 switch port. And it says that as you can see over here, it says that switch port is disabled, meaning that it is a layer 3 port now. So now you have converted this port to layer 3 port. Now it's a time to verify. It's a time to verify. It's a time to verify whether whatever we have discussed, that whenever you convert the layer 2 to layer 3, actually it is not converted, but switch creates a VLAN in the backend from the extended range. whatever we have discussed, let's verify whether it really happens, whatever we have discussed in theoretical part. So I will give the command show VLAN, and you will see that VLAN 1 is the default VLAN. Apart from that, 1002 to 1005 are used for special purpose, but you cannot see that any extended VLAN over here, right? So for that, there is some different command. Show VLAN internal usage. This is the command, show VLAN internal usage, and you hit enter. You will see that there is one VLAN created in the backend using extended VLAN range, which is 1006, and the port number is bind Ethernet 0 by 0. So we have converted this layer 2 port to layer 3 port, Ethernet 0 by 0 port we have converted, and you can see that the VLAN range, the first VLAN of that range 1006 is bind to Ethernet 0 by 0. So whatever we have discussed in theory is practically getting justified. Your doubts are getting clear. The concepts are getting clear. Anyone has any doubt? Now, the question might come to your mind that being an administrator, you can create so many VLANs. You can create thousands of VLANs, right? But if this VLAN is created in the backend automatically by the switch and mapped to Ethernet 0 by 0, whether we can create the same VLAN manually, let's do the configuration and verify it. Go to configure terminal and try to create VLAN 1006 and see what it says. One second. Yeah. What it is saying, when you try to create VLAN 1006, it says that failed to create VLAN 1006. My lab is a bit slow. It's a virtual, so you can expect there is slowness in the response also. So when I try to create VLAN 1006, let me show you again. I go to configure terminal and I say that VLAN 1006. What the same error it will give me again. It is a bit slow, so you have to wait. Or usually in the production, instantly you will get a reply. But over here, it's a virtual environment, so you can expect a delay. That is quite normal. So if you will see over here, when I tried to create VLAN 1006, which was automatically created by the switch in the backend, it is giving me an error saying that failed to commit extended VLAN changes. VLAN not available in port manager. It is saying that this VLAN 1006 is not available in the port manager. Why? Because it is already created by the switch in the backend. So that's the reason it is not available in the port manager, and says that failed to create the extended VLAN changes. And then it gives the detail also. See, VLAN 1006 currently in use by Ethernet 0 by 0. Correct? Failed to create 1006 VLAN not available in the port manager. Now, see, same error again. Now, another thing is, logically assume that the SVI, the switch virtual interface, as it is also called as switch virtual interface. VLAN interface is also called as switch virtual interface. We have discussed this. This is created using the extended range in the background, right? Now, the one command which we have discussed today is show VLAN internal usage to check the extended range of VLANs which are created and mapped to the port number. We have also learned that once, although the switch has created automatically this VLAN in the backend, we cannot, being an administrator, again we cannot use that VLAN. But yes, if you want to create another VLAN, like let's say for example you want to create VLAN 1007. Now, although VLAN 1007 it is used in It is used in extended VLAN, but extended range, but you can use this VLAN. How you can use, I will show you. Now go to configure and give the command VLAN 1007. Okay, and hit enter. See, it is being created. Now give the command show VLAN, and you will see that although you have created the VLAN from the extended range, but still it is shown. Why? Because this is not created by the switch in the backend and mapped to any port. This is VLAN 1007 created by an administrator and not for converting the port to layer 3, not by giving no switch port command and then assigning the vport, assigning it to some specific port. It's the administrator who has created, so it will be shown over here. And if you give the command now show VLAN internal usage, you are able to see only one VLAN, which is 1006. Now, let's say, for example, you try to give the command on another port interface E0 by 0. So 0 by 0, we have already configured 0 by 1. Okay, just check what it is. Show interface E0 by 1 switch port. It is a layer 2 port. Let's convert this into layer 3. The command is no switch port. And as soon as you give this, use this command show internal show VLAN internal usage. Sorry, typing error. Okay, now see 1006 was initially map, right? Now 1007 was something you have created manually. What it has taken? 1008 it has taken. Why? Because 1007 the VLAN was created by the administrator. Now again, let's do one thing. Go to configure terminal, go to interface E0 by 1, hit enter, and give the command switch port and come out. Now check show VLAN internal usage. You will see that the mapping which was done over here, when you have converted Ethernet 0 by 1 port from layer 2 to layer 3, by default in the backend switch has created one SVI, one VLAN 1008 and bind to Ethernet 0 by 1. But as soon as you have given the command no switch port, switch port command, meaning that as soon as you tried again to convert layer 3 port to layer 2 port, what has happened? That binding is removed, that VLAN is free now. And now if you want to create VLAN 1008, you can again create it because it is available now. It will not give you any error. Is it clear? Any questions, any doubt till here? If it is clear, then let's go ahead. Now let's understand how I have told you that either switch can create a VLAN in ascending order, meaning it can start creating from 1006 up to 4094, or it can create in descending order from 4094 to 1006. Let's understand how it will go. That is totally up to your your being administrator. Now give the command show run, and I want to show you something. Now you are seeing this VLAN. By default, you will see that you have given the show run command, and you will see in the running configuration that there is some command being used, VLAN internal allocation policy ascending. You have not done this by default, meaning that by default the assignment is in ascending, meaning that whenever the switch will create a switch VLAN, it will be assigned from 1006 to 1007 to 1008 up to 4094. But you can change this. Being an administrator, you can change it, and it is very simple. Go to configuration mode and give the command internal allocation, not interface, it is internal allocation. Why it is not taking? Yeah, it is VLAN. Sorry, VLAN internal allocation policy descending and hit enter. This is the command which you have given. VLAN internal allocation policy descending. So you have set to switch that instead of using the extended VLAN range in ascending order, start using it in descending order. Let's see what is the change now. Now go to interface Ethernet 0 by 1, hit enter and give the command no switch port to make it as layer 3 port and hit enter. And just come out to the privilege mode and give the command show VLAN internal usage. Hit enter. See what happened now? Everyone can see the change. What is the change? The switch started to create the VLAN. It started to use extended VLAN in descending order. Although this was created before 1006, but now switch has created another one. Let's say, for example, now you change the, for some time, just change it, configure T interface Ethernet 0 by 0. Okay, make it switch port and again make it no switch port. Okay, now see what will happen. Show VLAN internal usage. See, it's going in descending order now. 4094 it was created for Ethernet 0 by 1. When you change Ethernet 0 by 0 to switch port again, it is going in descending order. 4093. Another one will be 4092. Is it clear? Any questions? Any doubt over here? Any questions? Any doubt? If there is any question, any doubt, please feel free to ask. So ascending order is by default. You want me to change it to ascending again? Okay, I will do that. No problem. Now let's do one thing. For this both ports, I will just convert it again to switch, or let's take the new port. But I want to show you some practicals now further, so I will not do that. But I will just again do this only, that interface range Ethernet 0 by 0 to 1. Okay, and I will say that switch port so that this becomes layer 2. Now if you check that, show VLAN internal usage, and there is no SVI. Why? Because there is no layer 3 port we have converted using no switch port command. Now you want me to show that how we can convert it again to ascending. So it is VLAN, the command is VLAN allocation, VLAN internal allocation policy will be ascending and hit enter. But before that, let me show you some more thing. Give the show run command and see, you have done some changes, right? That changes will be reflected in the configuration over here. See, 1 second. Give the command interface range. Oh, we have to change to ascending now. So it will be VLAN internal allocation policy ascending. Remember guys, there it is a virtual lab, so some kind of error and everything you can expect it over here. It won't be exactly like a production, but yes, output you can see and it is working fine. Now again I will make this port configuration range interface range Ethernet 0 by 0 to 1. Although we have changed it to descending, but it was not showing for some reason. So there is small things you can just ignore. Anyhow, you are able to see the output. That is very important. Now we will again change this port to, we have changed this port to ascending now, right? it interface range is 0 by 0 to 1 and say that no switch port, hit enter and give the command show VLAN internal usage and hit enter. Now see again switch has started to create the SVI in the backend in the ascending order format. But over here you will see that 1006 was created, then 1008 is created. And can anyone tell me why 1007 is not seen over here? Can anyone tell me the switch has used the first VLAN from the extended range is 1006 and then it has used 1008. Can anyone tell me why 1007 is not used? Why 1007 is not used? See, the reason answer is very simple because we, if you remember, just some time before, we have created VLAN 1007. See, we have created. That's why, since 1007 was already created by the administrator, it was available in the switch. What switch has done? Switch has created 1006 first, and then it has created 1008 because 1007 was already created by an administrator. Is it clear? Now, now, let's say that, let's assume that over here, coming to the lab over here, yeah, this is switch, right? Just let's take some PCs also over here. You will go to node and for PC, you will say virtual PC and let's take 4 virtual PCs over here. Desktop icon is fair enough and I will save it. So what I will do is I will just connect the PCs also over here. Let's power on this PCs also. At once you can power on everything. More action, start all nodes. And this node should start for you. Now, now what I'm going to do is I will be connecting all this. But before that, the problem is why I have done this to show you that see once you have power on the devices, you will not be able to connect. If you want to do a connectivity, the devices should be power off. Now, if you power off, what will happen? Your configuration, whatever you have done, will go away because you have not saved the configuration, right? If you want to save the configuration, what is the command? WR we give in shortcut, right? Write to memory command. Anyway, if it goes also, we have not done much more configuration. So let it go, no problem. And I will do again something, then you will learn again. Stop all nodes, okay? Stop all nodes. Now, once you have stopped all the nodes, you will start to do, see, as soon as you take the your mouse cursor over here, then it gives you a plug option. So what you do is you just start connecting this. It is asking on switch 1, it is Ethernet 0 by 0, and your VPC, that is your PC, it is Ethernet 0. Okay, save it. Now coming over here, just take this, sorry, just take this over here and connect it over here. It is saying 0 by 1 will be connected to Ethernet 0 by 0 of PC. Save it. Then again take it, the connector, connect over here. It should be 0 by 2 port. Save it. Again take the connector. It is 0 by 3 port. Save it. Now, just we will take it proper. Now you have connected all the devices. Now, more action and start all the nodes. All the pieces will start now. You switch everything, all the nodes, whichever you see over here on the lab, it will start now. Now, see, let's say for example, these are the pieces connected, and these are the pieces connected. And now, for example, you want this switch to be accessed from this PC. So this can be accessed from IP address, right? This can be accessed from IP address. So what you do is you go to the switch over here, and by going to this switch over here, what you will do, you will simply give the IP address on this port. It's an 0 by 0, and you know how to give the IP address, right? You will go to configuration mode. You will go to interface. Before that, you will check what is the port status. Show interface E0 by 0 switch port, and you can see that this port is switch is layer 2 port. This port of the switch is layer 2 port. Since it is a layer 2 port, you cannot assign the IP address. We can verify this. Configure terminal Ethernet 0 by 0. See, IP address command itself is not working. Why? Because it is a layer 2 port. So now, if you want to access this switch from this PC for doing any configuration and all, then you need the IP address of this port number, right? You will assign the IP address, and what you will do, you will say that configure terminal interface Ethernet 0 by 0 and hit enter. And you will say that no switch port. Okay, you will say that no switch port. Now, when you see that, do show interface Ethernet 0 by 0 switch port, says that switch port is disabled, meaning that it is a layer 3 port now. Ethernet 0 by 0 is a layer 3 port, and you can give the IP address. At the same time, just see show VLAN. Anyway, this command doesn't work over here anyhow. No problem. But at least you can give the IP address. So give the IP address on this Ethernet 0 by 0. IP address will be 192.168.10.1 subnet mask 255.255.255.0 and hit enter. Okay, you have done this. Now just come out from here and check show VLAN internal usage. You will see that 1006 is bind to Ethernet 0 by 0. And if you give show IP interface brief, you will be able to see that Ethernet 0 by 0 has IP address 192.168.10.1. Okay. Now, tomorrow, if you want to say that even this PC want to access this switch, in that case, what you will do, you will again create this Ethernet 0 by 1 as the layer 3 port, and you know how to make it. Configure terminal interface Ethernet 0 by 1 no switch port, right? And you can give the IP address 192.168.20.1 subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Enter. Verify the configuration. Show VLAN internal usage, and you will see that Ethernet 0 by 0 is mapped to VLAN 1006 and Ethernet 0 by 1 is mapped to 1007 by the switch in the backend. You have not done this configuration, it is done by switch. Moving on, if you just go and check show IP interface brief command, it will tell you that Ethernet 0 by 0 has this IP address being configured by the administrator. Ethernet 0 by 1 has this IP address being configured by the administrator, right? Now, if you want this switch to access this switch, what you have to do, this PC to access this switch, you have to configure the IP address of this PC from this network. On Ethernet 0 by 0, you have given the IP address 192.168.10.1/24. So from this network, you will configure one IP on this PC. So just open this PC and give the command to configure the IP address. The command is IP. We will use one IP 192.168.10.10. 55.255.255. Or else simply say that /24. Okay, and give the gateway The gateway, what gateway we will give? We will give the gateway as this interface IP only. We'll give this gateway 192.168.10.1 and hit enter. It will check for duplicate IP. If the IP is available, IP will be assigned. Now, trying to ping the gateway 192.168.10.1. You will see that it is able to reach the gateway, right? If it is able to reach the gateway, means this PC will be able to access this switch. It will be able to telnet SSH. What are telnet SSH? We will discuss. In short, just understand that this PC will be able to access this switch over here. It is able to ping means the reachability is there. It will be able to access the switch. How to open the access and all, we will learn in the coming time. Now, similarly, let's go to this PC and over here, give the IP from the same network of this Ethernet 0 by 1. Set the IP 192.168.20.10/24 and give the gateway as interface IP 192.168.20.1. Now, there are two things. Number one, this is the setup you have seen. The switch is there. Now for two PCs access, you have configured the IP addresses. Now just try to understand that if you don't have the layer 3 switch, if you don't have layer 3 switch with you, then how you will be giving the IP address? How you will give IP address to the switch interface? How you will be accessing the switch? That question should come to your mind. Even though if the layer 2 switch is there, you need to access, the administrator need to access layer 2 switch. So now the question comes, if it is a layer 3 switch, if it is a layer 2 switch, if you don't have layer 3 switch, if you have a layer 2 switch, and on layer 2 switch, you cannot convert the port from layer 2 to layer 3 because it has a layer 2 functionality. So how you will give the IP address to access the switch, right? As we all know that no switchport command works only on layer 3 switch, right? So the first question comes, how you will give the IP address, and second question, very important. Now see over here, for this PC, if there are 4 computers, all the 4 ports will be utilized. Now let's say, for example, if you have 10 administrators, will you be giving one by one IP on each and every port to access this switch to the administrator? Of course no. Why you are wasting unnecessarily port just for the administrator to give the access? So in production, this is not the way. What we have learned, this is not the way to give the access to the switches, but there is some different way which we will learn. So one use case is that if the switch is not layer 3 switch, it is a layer 2 switch, where the layer 3 functionalities doesn't work. You cannot convert the port to layer 3. Then in that case, how you will be accessing the switch? Because you cannot convert the port to layer 3. So you cannot give the IP address on that port. So in this case, you will not be able to access the switch. So there should be some way, right? So it is very easy, guys. See, what we can do is, what is happening basically, whenever you are converting the port to layer 3 port, in the backend VLAN mapping is done, first thing. And second thing, the IP address which you are giving is actually not on the interface. Again, that IP address is also given on that VLAN only. In reality, the IP address is also given on the VLAN only. So now what you can do is, instead of the switch is creating a VLAN and giving the IP address, so instead of that, what you can do is, being an administrator, we can manually assign the port to a VLAN. What we will do now, let's say for example, just understand that this switch is no more a layer 3 switch, but it is a layer 2 switch, where you cannot convert the port from layer 2 to layer 3, and you cannot since you cannot convert the port from layer 2 to layer 3, you cannot configure the IP address, right? So in this case, what you can do is you will create one VLAN. What you will do, you will create one VLAN. You will create the SVI of that VLAN. Okay, you will create the switch virtual interface. That is one VLAN you will create, and you will be giving the IP address on that VLAN. What you will do, you will be creating the VLAN and you will be giving the IP address. So how that is done is, now let's say, for example, you have a limitation. You cannot convert the port from layer 2 to layer 3. You cannot assign the IP address. What you will do, you will say configure terminal. You will be giving VLAN 10. What you have done, you have created one VLAN. Now you will exit from here, and now over here you will say that interface VLAN 10, and you will give the IP address on this interface. This will be the IP address something, and then subnet mask you will be giving. This is how, this is also another way. See, in the backend what is happening, the switch is creating an SVI, switch is creating a VLAN from the extended range, and then the IP address is assigned. So what you will do, instead of switch being assigning manually, if you don't have this option to convert the port from layer 2 to layer 3, if you cannot assign the IP address, you can manually assign the port. What you can do, you can manually assign the port to a specific VLAN. Very first thing, what you will do, you will be saying that, for example, Ethernet 0 by 2 and 0 by 3 are no more the layer 3 port. You cannot convert that. So what you will do, simply you will be saying that interface is 0 by 3, and you will say that switch port access VLAN 10. Once you have done this, you have already assigned the IP address to the SVI, and what was happening by the switch was, what switch was doing automatically in the backend, you have done this manually. How to do that we'll learn now. Practically also we'll see that. If someone asks you what is SVI, what is switch virtual interface, if someone asks you what is SVI, SVI stands for switch virtual interface. If someone asks you what is SVI, so you can say that SVI is a virtual layer 3 interface. SVI is a virtual layer 3 interface for a VLAN that is configured with some IP address. And what is the benefit? It allows easier switch management. You can manage the switch very easily, as we can access the switch using telnet, SSH. These are the protocols using which you can access the switches using the IP address. Now let's understand our lab over here. What we have done, we said that Ethernet 0 by 0 is a layer 3 port. We have assigned the IP address, and from the same network we have assigned the IP address to this PC. We said that Ethernet 0 by 1 is a layer 3 port. We have converted to layer 3 port. We have assigned the IP address, and from the same network we have assigned the IP address to this PC. This is what we have done. Now just try to assume that there is a limitation. You cannot convert this Ethernet 0 by 2 and 0 by 3 to layer 3 port. You cannot convert. Since you cannot convert, we are assuming we can convert actually, but we are, for our practical purpose, we are assuming that this is a layer 2 port, layer 2 switch now, and this ports cannot be converted from layer 2 to layer 3. And since this cannot be converted, you cannot configure the IP address. This now we are assuming that. Okay. So how you will do? Whatever switch has done in the back end, it has created the SVI in the back end. and IP address you have configured, and actually that IP address is configured on this switch VLAN interface, not on the VLAN actually. So we are going to do the same job what switch has done automatically in the backend. We will be doing it over here manually. Now for understanding purpose, let's say, can anyone tell me by default all the switch ports are the member of which VLAN? By default, all the switch ports are the member of which VLAN? By default, all the switch are the member of VLAN 1, right? So whatever you see, now let's go to the switch. Let's go to the switch over here and give the command show VLAN. Enter. You will see that you have not Ethernet 0 by 2 and 0 by 3, right? But you will see that VLAN 1, it is a member of VLAN 1. Why? Because by default, all the switch ports are the member of VLAN 1. Even 0 by 0 and 0 by 1 was the member of VLAN 1, but we have just configured it as a layer 3 port. So now the binding is done automatically, and that port has become the member of extended VLAN, which is being assigned by the switch automatically. Is it clear? So now we are assuming that these ports Ethernet 0 by 2 and 0 by 3 are the layer 2 ports, layer 2 switch ports, and this cannot be converted to layer 3. So in such scenario, what we will be doing is we will be doing the job manually what switch has done automatically. So we will not like I have just written over here that you can say you can create VLAN 10 instead of creating a VLAN 10, which we have already seen how to create the VLAN and assign it to group. Let's say we will say that it is a member of VLAN 1. Okay, then we will straight away go and give the command configure terminal. Okay, and I will say that it is a VLAN, it is a member of VLAN 1 by default. So I will keep it as a member of VLAN only for Ethernet 0 by 2 and 0 by 3. I will not change the membership. I will just go over here and I will say that interface VLAN 1. I will give the command IP address over here on interface VLAN 1. I will say that IP address 192.168.1.1 255.255.255.0. Enter. What I did over here is I have simply given the IP address on the SVI, that is VLAN 1. Just verify it, show IP interface brief, and you will see that 0 by 0 has the IP address a layer 3 port, 0 by 1 has IP address layer 3 port, 0 by 2 and 0 by 3 are layer 2 port, so IP address is not assigned, but they are the member of VLAN 1 and we have assigned the IP address on VLAN 1, and VLAN 1 is administrative down. So what you will do, you will go to configure terminal, you will go to interface VLAN 1, hit enter and say no shut. It will come up now. Now give the command show IP interface brief, and you will see that in this one 192.168.1.1 this IP address is assigned to VLAN 1 and VLAN 1 is up now. Now what we will do, we will be giving the IP address from this network 192.168.1.1 to both these PCs. Everyone is ready? We will be giving the IP addresses from this PC. But this time we will not give the static IP address as we have given over here static IP address. We will not give the static IP address. We will be giving the IP address using DHCP. Now, how the DHCP process work, we will be going to learn in detail. Don't worry. How the switch assign the IP address, what are the security risks, how you can avoid that, how the complete process happen, everything we will discuss theory. But for now, we will learn how to configure the DHCP so that these PCs will get the DHCP, the IP addresses using the DHCP. So let's start doing the DHCP configuration so that this both PC can get the IP dynamically. Over here, the PCs we have assigned the IP address statically, right? We have assigned the IP address. But over here on both the species, we will be assigning it dynamically. And we have this VLAN 1 now. So what we will do, we will learn how to configure the DHCP. Go to configure mode. Okay. Go to configure mode over here. 1 second, I'm getting one call. Okay. So we will start configuring the DHCP. So the first thing what you have to do is, while configuring the DHCP, you have to give the name of your DHCP. Okay. The command is IP DHCP, and you will say pool. You have to give the pool name. We will say that CCNA. Okay, IP DHCP pool, and the pool name is CCNA. Hit enter. The next thing, you have to define the network. Okay, these PCs will get the IP address from which network. Now over here we have defined, we have said that the PC should be in this network. The port IP address was Ethernet 0 by 0. The IP address was 192.168.1 dot, sorry, 192.168.10.1. The interface IP was 10.1, and the network was 192.168.10.0/24. Similarly, we will define the network also over here, and we will say that network 190. We are assigning this both PCs are the member of VLAN 1, right? We have not made this port as layer 3. These are layer 2 ports. So what we did is, we have made both the species as a member of VLAN 1, and we have assigned the IP address on VLAN 1. So we will use the same network 192.168.1.0, this network, VLAN 1 network 192.168.1.0, and you will give the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Hit enter. Over here on the PC we have configured the gateway, right? In your PC, whenever you are configuring the IP addresses, what do you configure? You configure the IP address from one of the network, you give the subnet mask, you give the default gateway. So you will be saying that for default gateway the command is default router, and you will be using this interface IP. So you will say 192.168.1.1 and hit enter. What else you give? You give the DNS server also, right? You give the DNS IP also, right? So similarly you can define the DNS here itself, so that the machine will get the DNS IP also automatically, and give the DNS as 8.8.8.8 for example, and hit enter. Now see, this is the complete network 192.168.1.0/24. If you leave it the configuration over here, what this PC will do, this PC will learn the IP address, will get the IP address from the switch, the next available IP. But you want, like, I don't want to use the complete block of 192.168.1.0. Maybe I will be using some of the IP addresses for my different purposes. I want that the IP address range should start from 192.168.1.51. Ideally, what will happen if you don't define the range? This switch will give the IP address to this PC 192.168.1. which is next available IP. But you want that, no, I don't want the IP to start from 1.2. I need to keep 40 or 50 IP addresses reserved for my some different purposes, which I can be using, which I will be assigning statically. Then what you can do is just exit over here in the configure terminal mode. You will give one command that IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.100, and hit enter. As soon as you give the command, now what will happen? The first IP which the PC will take will be 192.168.1.101. Let's verify that also. Now just come to PC4. Have you opened this PC? No. Just come to PC4 over here. Open this PC, and when you open this PC over here, now no need to give the IP address statically. Simply say IP DHCP and hit enter. It has started to get the IP. This is DORA process. What is DORA process? We will be discussing in detail. Don't worry. See, it has taken the IP address, and the IP address is 192.168.1.101. And the gateway which you have configured, it has taken the gateway also. 192.168.1.1 is the gateway. Similarly, come over here on PC5, open it, and over here also give the command IP DHCP, and it will learn the next available IP, which is 192.168.1.102, and the gateway it has taken from the switch. Now, just do one thing. Try to ping this PC IP. First of all, we will try to ping gateway 192.168.1.1. It is pinging. Try to ping some other gateway, which is 10.1. It is pinging. Try to ping this PC IP address 10.10. Enter. It is pinging. Now you can see that your complete network is pinging. Over here, this was different network. This was different network. This was different. Every network is different, but it is pinging. Why? Because this is layer 3 switch. It is capable of doing the routing. These ports are layer 3 ports. Now what is happening over here? Now this PC5, now this PC5 says that I want to ping to 10.1. I want to ping to, sorry, 10.10. The PC request goes over here to its gateway, default gateway, which is 192.168.1.1. Switch checks that this request has come from here. Where it want to go? It want to go to 10.10. It says that, okay, where is 10.0 network configured? It is configured on this port. It goes to this port, and from here it reaches to PC. This is the path it is taking. So you can see that your complete network is pinging. Now come over here on PC2. Click on open link. This is already open, right? That's why. Okay, come over here and give the command ping 192.168.1.101, which is PC4. It is pinging. Give the command 105, sorry, not 105, 102, which is PC5. It is pinging. So what we have seen, the complete network is pingable. The switch is doing the routing capabilities. Now usually in the production there might be a possible, this is see, again I told you that it is a lab, right? Usually you will see that for some reason it is not working over here. IP routing is enabled by default, but if in case it doesn't work in the production, this scenario, what you have to do is simply you have to go to configure mode and give the command show IP, sorry, you have to give the command IP routing. Okay, this is the command which you have to give, IP routing. Everything will work. Any questions, any doubts over here? Any questions, any doubt? That's good. Now see, today we will not be taking break. In next 10 minutes we'll just wind up because I have some other commitments for today. Now before we leave, let's see, we have configured the DHCP. Let's see that how to check the IP address assignment. Now if you want to check that your DHCP you have configured, so you want to check that which IPs are assigned and to where it is assigned. So the command is show IP DHCP binding and hit enter. Okay, once you give the command show IP DHCP binding, it is giving you the complete detail that from its pool 192.168.1.101 is assigned to the PC which has the MAC address, this MAC address, when it is assigned, and type is automatic. Similarly, it gives the detail for another DHCP binding also. Now there is one more command, show IP DHCP, and you can say your pool name CCNA. Show IP DHCP. No, sorry, not pool name. It will be pool. And now you can give the name. Yeah. Show IP DHCP pool and then give the pool name. So if you use this, command, what information it is giving is how many addresses are there. 54. Leased addresses are 2. Excluded addresses are 100. In the network which you have defined for DHCP, total you have 254 usable IP address amongst the 256, because first IP is the network address and the last is the broadcast address. So total usable addresses are 254. You have the two addresses are being leased, which is 101 and 102 for PC4 and PC5. Then excluded address, you have excluded 100 address, right? From 1 to 100 you have excluded, so it is saying that excluded address are 100. One subnet is currently in the pool, and this is the current index. Next IP will be 103, IP address range, which is there, everything it is saying, and in that it says that among this, two IPs are leased, 100 IP are excluded from total 254 IP address. This gives you the information of your pool also. So now, any questions, any doubt over here? So if there is no questions, no doubt, we will stop over here. And in the next lecture, that is tomorrow, we are going to discuss about some important protocols that are CDP, LLDP. Then we'll understand that how you will be designing the network in your production environment, how you will be designing the network, what are the different things, different ways to design the network. This is everything we are going to learn in our tomorrow's lecture, and there are lots of advanced topics to come. If there is no question, no doubt, everything is clear, it's the right time to take a break and then see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye.